Okay.
Welcome to episode 34 of the Below the Yellow Line podcast. I'm your host, Joe Landy Pavlon. Justin Hebert will be with me.
Okay. Everything's good now. Oh, come on.
There we go.
Okay.
I'm back. I'm Joe. He's Justin. My computer wants to fight me already. So this might be some episode tonight.
Yep.
We are going to cover the supercars race from Newcastle, Formula E, and a lot to talk about at NASCAR, as well as silly season is just hitting full-fledged. So let's get started with the supercars. The Newcastle 500. We'll again get into the Asia Le Mans series.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, let's see. Maybe
Your computer's weak.
my computer really wants to try me today.
Yeah.
So
Oh my god. This computer is garbage. Okay. Okay. So
okay,
races we had.
we're gonna cover the Asia Le Mans series, Formula
Okay.
E, the 9 hours of Kalami, and I'm definitely gonna get myself a new mic.
Your mic is really, and your computer's
I don't know if it's the
no.
mic or the computer or it's just pure bad luck.
Yeah, podcast.
At least I shaved and I got a haircut.
They're like, no. You're not doing a podcast.
No, the demons have risen. Okay, so we'll start with the Newcastle 500 from the Newcastle Street Circuit in New South Wales, where Shane Van Gisbergen won race 1 from the pole, leading 78 laps, scoring his 5th win of 2019.
Yep, he did.
Over Scott McLaughlin, who led 14 laps from second up the grid. Fabian Coulthard, third, after leading 3 laps from the 6th place on the grid. Of course, David Reynolds, Cam Waters, Scott Pye, James Courtney, 6th and 7th for the Waukesha Andretti squad. Jamie Whincup started 3rd, finished 8th. Tim Slade finished 9th, and Mark Winterbottom finished 10th.
Yep.
So, race 1 was pretty much in the hands of Shane Van Gisbergen. Mm-hmm. I think he really deserved that victory, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a good car.
He had a very good car.
Yep.
But also started from the pole.
Yeah.
And that was his 36th career victory. And 5th of the season.
And also, I want to say James Courtney had the fastest lap at a 1 minute 10.885 in the.
He was fast in qualifying.
Yep, James Courtney. Margin of victory was 10 seconds. Just for the people to know.
And looking at the other results, of course, Jack LeBrock had a crash on lap 2.
Yep.
Which made him finish in the last place spot. Of course, Anton De Pasquale had an incident as well, finished a few laps down. But yeah, that's what we got after race 1 at the Newcastle Street Circuit. Yep. And the team's championship was still alive after that race. So let's move on to race 2, which was the final race of the year, round 32 of 32. And Jamie Whincup, who started on the pole, led 40 laps
and
scored his 5th win of 2019 and 118th of his career.
Yeah, he won over Fabian Coulthard 2nd, then led no laps. Tim Slade 3rd, Scott McLaughlin 4th, led 3 laps. Scott Pye 5th, led 6 laps. Chaz Mostert 6th, led 5 laps. Shane Van Gisbergen 7th, after starting 16th, led 12 laps. Cameron Waters 8th, led 23 laps. Nick Perk at ninth, he led 3 laps, and top 10 was Todd Hazelwood. And other results, we had Lee Holdsworth multiple laps down. On lap, he finished 23rd, and last place in a wreck was Anton De Pasquale. Lap 22, he had an accident.
He had a rough weekend.
And one thing is, this race actually finished on lap 93, which is odd because the race was 95 laps.
It was due to a time limit because the last few laps were actually clocked.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
Okay, there was a time limit.
And in fact, I feel like it was just worth it, and because the team championship battle was really on. That's why Fabian Coulthard and McLaughlin were up there, and they deserve the team championship as well. Because also, if you think about Coulthard for a moment, he was considered the overall winner.
Yeah, he had
because he had the best average of the weekend.
Yeah, he
third and second.
Yeah, really good.
So yeah, Fabian Coulthard, good job for him, and he helped get that team's championship for Shell V Power Racing and DJR Team Penske. So let's take a look at the final standings of 2019. So obviously Scott McLaughlin over Shane Van Gisbergen, Jamie Whincup, then Fabian Coulthard, Chaz Mostert, David Reynolds, Cam Waters, Will Davison, Nick Perkett, and Lee Holdsworth were the top 10. And then also, let's talk about the team's championship. So DJR Team Penske and Shell V Power Racing put on the clinic they needed to clinch the team's title. And they beat Red Bull Holden Racing Team, of course, under 888 Race Engineering. Second, Tickford Racing finished third in the Super Cheap Auto Ford. Fourth place was Tickford 23 Red Racing. And fifth place was Urbis Motorsports for the Penrite Racing Holden.
Yep.
Then Walkinshaw Andretti United for the Mobile One Holden. They got sixth place. Then for Brad Jones Racing of the Freightliner Holdens of Tim Slade and Nick Perkett. And then Kelly Racing with number 7 and 15, which was the Castrol Nissan. Finished 8th in the team's championship. 9th place was Gary Rogers Motorsports in their farewell season. We'll get into that in a minute. And then Kelly Racing for cars number 3 from the Rabble Club and Harvey Norman.
Wait, what?
78. Kelly Racing finished 10th in the team's championship.
Wait, who did you say that got 4th in the thing?
Tickford 23 Red.
I thought it was Monster Energy Racing number 6.
It is.
Yeah, it just says the number 6. It says because 3rd is the Bottle O Racing team.
Bottle O Racing, yeah.
Yeah. Boost Mobile, okay. Last place was the Truck Assist Techno Racing number 19, got 14th in the points in the team's championship. They got last.
So yeah, there we have it. And now let's get into the manufacturers championship, which was won clearly by Ford over Holden and Nissan. And of course, Nissan, we'll get into them in a little bit. This was their last race weekend before departing from supercars.
Toyota and
yeah.
Supercars.
And now let's talk about the others categories for the supercars. So there were other support series that took place over the season in supercars. So the Super 2 champion was Bryce Fullwood in the Nissan Altima. And the Super 3 champion, we had Brock Feeney, and he drove his Ford Falcon to win the big trophy. Super Utes was Tom Alexander, who drove an Isuzu D-Max to his Super Utes Championship. And for the Super E Series title was Joshua Rogers driving the Holden Commodore for Waukesha and Andretti United. So yeah, there you have it. Let's talk about supercars and what do we expect heading into 2020. This year was very hectic. We saw records shattered.
Yeah.
I mean, shattered. Like, goodbye. You could not keep up to Scott McLaughlin.
Like, Scott McLaughlin, he had a really good season. Like, I'm going to go check his average for this season. Where's Racing Reference?
It's bizarre. But for a brief moment, I'd like to talk about what we got for next year.
Oh, God. I almost got Scott McLaughlin's page. I almost went on Wikipedia and I almost went on Facebook. Don't know why. His average start was third. Average finish at 2.3. Really
That's
solid.
unbelievable. 2.3 is like out of the ballpark. Like in the language of Wii Sports, it's out of the park. Not just a home run. It's out of the park.
And he actually only completed 29 races out of 32.
Yeah, he missed. Was it Adelaide?
Queensland.
Oh, Queensland and Surfers Paradise.
Yeah, like he had 18 wins, 22 podiums, and 15 pole positions. That's his season. Really solid by McLaughlin and that team.
Yeah, I would like to mention though that McLaughlin, of course, won the 2018 championship, winning 8 races. He almost doubled that. Well, he actually did double it.
Yeah, he did.
Won 18. That's plus 10.
Yeah, 10 more victories than last season.
So I would like to transition on to the 2020 supercars, just to talk about what we're going to expect in 2020, because Nissan is no longer on the grid. They pulled out.
Yeah.
And we're gonna see these drivers return. So I just want to go back Tickford Racing for a moment. They're gonna have Lee Holdsworth, Cam Waters, and a new driver as Chas Mostert has left to go to Waukesha and Andretti United and drive a Holden for the first time in his supercars career, which I think is kind of the right move, to be honest. I think Mostert was ready to go before the season started, but he's got a bright future ahead for sure. And of course, Andre Heimgartner and Rick Kelly will remain in Kelly Racing. And I think Kelly Racing, I mean, I'm looking at Wikipedia, so God knows if I'm factual or not. It's just, it's more organized on Wikipedia. so yeah, there you have it. But I think Rick Kelly, and Kelly Racing, they're probably going to close the 78 team, and you don't need 2 teams of 4 cars in the supercars. 2 is good enough. Maybe for the Enduros, you can add 2 more entries, but I think they're good for what they have. Heimgartner has a lot of potential still, and Kelly Racing, they're growing along here. He's never won, but has 2 podiums in his career.
Hey, do you want to know what's awesome?
Yeah.
Gart Tander and Craig Lowndes, they're staying for the
ProTech Enduro Cup.
Yeah, Tander will drive the 97, and Lowndes will be the co-driver of WinCup again.
That's gonna be fun because Lowndes and WinCup, they won the Sandown 500. They obliterated the field.
But what about the there was a race that it was what
Gold Coast 600 where Shane Van Gisbergen and Gart Tander won.
Oh, they did good in that race.
Yeah, they won one race while WinCup and Lowndes won the other. But if you look at some of the other teams that have some unknown drivers, like Brad Jones Racing, they got rid of Tim Slade. Nick Percat is slated to return to the team, but they're also hinting at Jack Smith, which his number is TBA. And do you think that 14 car will stay next year?
I don't know. Oh my.
And I have a question. Could Ash Walsh drive that car?
I
He was a
don't know.
co-driver from the Enduro Cup, and he raced in Super 2 series.
Do I know what's interesting? I'm looking here. These.
I mean, you got Matt Stone Racing is entered. How about Kostecki Brothers Racing? Do you think they should run the full season? I mean, I don't know if they have the bucks.
Like, I know Tickford will have 3 cars. Holdsworth Waters, 55, unknown. Heimgartner, Red Kelly, staying. DJR Team Penske, Coulthard, McLaughlin, 23 Redson. 23 Red Racing.
Will Davison.
Yep. Brad Jones Racing has Percat in the 8. 14 is TBA.
That was Tim Slade's ride.
Yeah. Jack Smith, unknown. Erebus, we have Reynolds and Anton de Pasquale. Charlie Schick World's Colt Racing. Winterbottom and Pie. What car is Pie driving? I don't know.
How about Macaulay Jones and Tim Blanchard Racing? Will they expand to another car team? Who knows?
Matt Stone Racing, 35, and another car. Wenka Van Giesberg in the AAA Racing. Courtney for a TBA car. No team name yet.
I mean, like I said, the offseason just started, and there's a lot of possible changes to go, and we'll get more of that in another episode. I feel like we have
also 14 rounds of the season.
Or 14 weeks, technically.
Yeah. But the last week, Newcastle's actually going to be December 5th to 6th.
So there's a more break, Sandown versus Newcastle.
Like they have Adelaide, Melbourne, Simmons Plain. Then they have Auckland.
Melbourne, of course, coincides with the F1 race weekend, like they do always.
Perth Super 9, Wynn Super 400, Townsville, Darwin Triple Crown at Hidden Valley Raceway, Sydney Super 9, the Ben 500. Then we have Bathurst, Gold Coast, the Sandown Super 400, and then the Newcastle 500. That's the season.
Right, and of course the Sandown 500 is no longer the traditional Sandown 500. It's turned into a super sprint because I believe the Enduro, I think the Ben is going to be an Enduro now. It's the Ben, Bathurst, and Gold Coast.
Yeah.
So that should be interesting. I'm very curious.
Hey, the Ben is going to be a 102 lap race.
So that's an Enduro.
Yup, 102 lap race. So yeah, that's an Enduro.
We'll be talking about the Ben for another series pretty soon in January. But let's keep on with the supercars because I do like what their. I mean, it's a little controversial about the Sandown. I really wish it could have just stayed the Sandown 500. You know what I mean? Leave the Ben to be a sprint or something like that. But it's what it is. I think the Bathurst 1000 will always be a key race. Gold Coast 600 and in Surfers Paradise, Queensland. They wrap up the season at Newcastle.
In a couple of years, they should make a Bathurst 2000.
That'd be like a 24-hour race.
That would be way more longer.
So there you have it with the supercars. And let's get into the next series, which is the Asian Le Mans Series at Shanghai International Circuit. And for the second time this month, the 4 hours of Shanghai.
Yep.
I think this one, like a lot of racing series, you kick off and have a long season ahead, right?
Yeah.
Not this one.
You only have 4 races. 4, and now only 3 because we have 1 race complete. We only have 3 more races of this season. It is not like it's not like WEC, which is 8 races. No, this is only 4 races in total. Wait, not 5, 4. But there's only 3 more left. So you have to make sure you don't make mistakes in all. You don't want to make a mistake in like the first 3 races and then win race 4 and you don't have a chance to win the championship.
Yeah, exactly.
It's only 4 races. You can't.
Right.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And also, let me make something real clear here. This season ends in February 23rd. January 12th is the next race at at the Bend. We'll talk about that later. Then February 15th, February 23rd. But let's get into the results.
Yeah.
So the LMP2 class, it had a controversial finish, and the winner got disqualified. So G Drive Racing was declared the winner. Number 26, the LMP2 class, which is also the fastest class overall. Number 36, Eurasia Motorsport finished second over the number 45 Carlin Racing Machine, which finished third. So the Carlin number 45 got the penalty. Apparently, their car didn't meet the drive time required, the number of driving time required
Oh my
for
god.
for their individual drivers in the car. That means they were penalized and disqualified from the results, and that puts them down to third with the time penalty. Fourth place was the number 34 Inter Europol.
Endurance, yeah. And then fifth was the number 13 in
33.
No, it was 34.
Well,
then the 13.
I'm looking at the LP2 class. We'll get into
that,
them.
Oh. But
Yeah.
fifth would have been in overall is the 13 LP3 car.
Yeah, let's get into that, and we'll do it by class. So LP2M, we'll get through this quick. The RLRM Sport number 59 won the race over the number 52 Rickware Racing. The number 4 ARC Bratislava finished third, and not classified. That was fourth was number 25 Rickware Racing. They did not start the race, so they were not classified.
Yep.
All right, and LP3, this class had only 6 cars, so I listened to all of them now.
13 Inter Europol competition won over the number 2 Nielsen Racing. Then the number 9 Graf car finished third. The number 12 Ace 1 Villobra Course finished fourth. The number 65 Viper Niza Racing Ligier finished fifth. And sixth place was the number 3 Nielsen Racing Norma M30.
Yeah.
And the GT class, the highest GT class was won by the number 77 D Station Racing.
So the Aston Martin.
Over the number 88 JLOC Lamborghini Huracan. Then the number 17 BMW M6 GT3. And then the 51 Spirit of Race and the Car Guy number 7. The top 5. Yeah,
and listening down the results, we have the number 27 Habato Corsa Ferrari, which was a team from the Chinese Taipei. Seventh place was the number 75 T2 Motorsports Ferrari, a team from Singapore. Then we have another Taipei team, which was the number 90 FIST Team AAI for BMW M6 GT3. They retired from the race. And in last place, another car that was not classified since they didn't start the race was the number 16 Astro Veloz Motorsport, a team from China, the BMW M6 GT3. Wow. So all in all, it was a fairly simple race, just to get out there, get some seat time.
Yep.
And the championship standings, I mean, it's the first race, but... Yeah. How it works, the winning team gets 25 points. Second place gets 18. Third place would get 15 points, and then you get 12 points for finishing fourth, 10 points for finishing fifth, ninth place for sixth, 6 points for seventh, and no points for eighth or lower.
Oh, so that means if you finish last, you don't even get points.
Right.
So that's why you don't want your...
But they give the points out differently depending on the classes. Basically based off the number of cars in the class. You know what I mean? To keep it fair.
Well, there's only 3 in the LMP2AM. There's only 3 cars. Which is not
right.
much.
If you notice, third place got 1 point. While third place in the LMP2 class got 15 points because they had more cars in the class. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because more cars, yeah.
Right. So, yeah, that's how it works. And their next race will be on January 12th for the 6 hours of the Bend in Thailand Bend in South Australia.
Yeah, that's their only race in Australia.
Which is on January 12th. So they got about a good month and a half to prepare for that race.
January 12th is on a Sunday. It's on a Sunday, guys. To
And
let you
for us
know.
in the U.S., that would be Saturday night.
Yep, because it's in Australia.
Right. So, I think endurance racing is going to be a big topic. We'll be. I think in
Yeah,
3 weeks from now, we'll get into the 8 hours of Bahrain, which will be
December 12th.
that'd be round
This
4 of the WC.
uh wait, Silverstone, what was after
Silverstone, Fuji, Shanghai.
Yeah, race 4
Yeah,
of
race
8.
4 of the 8 race series, and so they'll basically make the halfway point of the WEC.
Not 5, race 4.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
5.
But after race 4, then the season will be the halfway mark.
Yep.
But I think going into the Shanghai race, looking at the drivers, James French, Leonard Hugenbaum, and Roman Rusinov, G Drive Racing, of course, they're very experienced in motorsports. I think they have a bright future in the Asian Le Mans series. They could win this championship, and if they race in North America, they'll probably win the 24 Hours of Daytona. It's going to be a more competitive LMP2 class going into 2020.
Oh, not like those four cars in the.
And they finished laps apart, of course. Remember?
Yeah, there was only 2 cars in the championship. Oh.
Yeah, sometimes we only 2 LMP2s in the whole race.
Yeah, I remember me and you were saying.
There's going to be a lot more now.
Yeah.
Trust me. And the reason why everyone's why do we have an LMP2 class? Well, guess what? The DPIs and the LMP2s used to race together till regulations changed after the 2018 season finished. That means it wouldn't make sense to keep them in the same class because they wouldn't compete against one another, so they split them up. That's why it stands out to have 4 cars.
Yeah, like 4 classes. Yeah, like the DPIs, LMP2, GT, LM, and GTD, which is in the IMSA series.
Yeah, GTDs are the GT3 cars, and the GTLMs are basically your GTEs in Le Mans.
Yeah, GT Pros. Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
So there you have it. That's endurance racing. I always say this. It's not really as much about the championships as it is for the races itself. It's always about the highlight races and the teams. Sometimes winning a championship is good and all, but you want to win the big races.
Like for example, if you're in the Daytona, not the Daytona series, that's not a series. The WeatherTech Sports Car Series, you want to win the 24 of Daytona, the 6 hours of Watkins Glen, and the 12 hours Sebring, and the 10
PT Le Mans.
Yeah, those races are the endurance races, and they are mostly the crown jewels.
They're prestigious.
Like in WEC, you want to win the Le Mans 24. You want to win like the 8 hours of Bahrain because that's a longer race. 8 hours of Bahrain. Like you want to win those races. You don't want to win winning a race at Lime Rock. But it's only.
I know what you mean, because going back to the American Le Mans series and Grand Am days with that race at Lime Rock, nothing against Lime Rock Park, but it would just be one of the races on the calendar.
Yeah, but like the Daytona, Sebring, Road Atlanta, and Watkins Glen, they're the bigger races.
Yeah, those are the ones that the wins you win there, it's going to stick with you for a long time. So I think that really covers up sports car racing.
Yep.
And it's interesting because if you look at let's just go back to the 4 race calendar. After the Bend, they raced at Sepang on February 15th, the 4 hours of Sepang, which is the track that used to host the Malaysian Grand Prix. And then the 4 hours of Buriram, which is in Thailand at the Chang International Circuit, which is on February 23rd. So, yeah, it's a quick series. There's not a lot of time in it. I think this is the biggest gap between races that you'll have in the Asian Le Mans series.
Yeah, because then after that, February 15th, and then 8 days later, the final race of the season. So yeah, it's not a big gap.
So yeah, I think there's a lot to go in. I'm very curious. So there we have the end of our segment on sports car racing. But let's actually keep the ball rolling on that. Before we go into Formula E, let's talk about, I haven't really covered it, so, we sound a little uneducated. Don't blame me. It's kind of my fault, but I should have. The 9 hours of Kilami.
Okay.
Which took place in South Africa. And it was a very soggy race, too.
Yep.
At the Kalami Racing Circuit.
Nope, that's not it.
It was
No.
It was the Intercontinental GT Challenge,
Nope, that's not
which
it.
was the fifth round, the fifth and final round of the 2019 season, and
Oh,
Porsche won the race.
what the hell is this? Where am I on this website? No, I don't want to buy tickets. Oh, come on. I'm so lost. No, I don't want the entry list. Oh my god. This website is
I found the race results. I'll send it to you.
I almost clicked on buy tickets. I don't want to buy race tickets. That's not why I'm on the website. I don't have money for this.
I put it in the live chat for you.
Okay. Whew. Okay, that helps. Cause I don't want to buy tickets. That's not the reason I went on the website. Cause I don't have money for tickets.
It'd be nice though.
Yeah. Copy. Paste and go. Yep. Okay. Now the website's loaded up.
So yeah, we had
The number
so we had the number
31
car that won overall
Cadelli
and in the
Racing.
pro class for Cadelli Racing Team, which are the Porsches, Matthew Jaminet, Dennis Olsen, and Nick Tandy.
That was a good lineup for that.
Great lineup. Of course, they had a good shot to win.
Second place, the number 34 Walking the Horse Motorsport, Christian Krones, Mikhail Jensen, and Nikki Katzberg in a BMW M6 GT3. And third place was the number 20 GPX Racing with Michael Christensen, Kevin Estre, and Richard Leeds in a Porsche 911 GT3R. Fourth place, the Audi Sport Team Land number 29 Marcus Winkelhock, Christopher Mees.
Christopher Haas.
Okay, Christopher Haas in an Audi R8 LMS GT3 2019. And fifth place was the number 10 Mercedes AMG Team SPS Automotive Performance of Yelmer Berman, Lucas Stolz, and Maximilian Goetz.
Max Getz.
Okay.
Let's see.
AMG GT3. And the highest silver class was the number 9 Lencher Racing Porsche 911 GT3R driven by Sol Hack, Lars Kern, and Dylan Piera over
from Luxembourg.
Over the number 6 Black Falcon driven by Hubert Haupt, Patrick Ossenheimer, and Sergey.
I don't know why the website cut his last name off.
Sergey something. Sergey, I don't even know his last name. Sorry, whoever you are. And a Mercedes AMG GT3. And the highest Pro-Am driver was the number 43 Straka Racing, driven by Christina Nielsen, Adrian Henry, De Silva, and Dominic something. Sorry, whoever you are. In a Mercedes AMG, the NAT, which is a class,
national class,
number 17 of Pablo Clark Racing, driven by Kishore Pitt Amber, Leonard Charles Thompson. Yeah, in a Ferrari 488 GT3.
Italia.
And the non-classified drivers, we had the number 188 Garage 59 of Alex West, Chris Goodwin, and Cum Ledger, and an Aston Martin Vantage AMR GT3. Then we had the 44 Mercedes AMG Team Straka Racing, driven by Gary Poffett, Lewis Williamson, and Tristan Vautier in a Mercedes AMG GT3. And then we had the 09 Team Perfect Circle, driven by Franco Scribante, Silvio Scribante, and Andre Bizzudino in a Porsche 997 GT3R. The number 13, Stardale Motorsport, Charles Angries, Craig Jarvis, and Dowie Joubert in a Lamborghini Huracan GT3 2019. And then the Honda number 30, Honda Team Motel number 30 of Marco Bonami, Bertrand Baguette, and Dane Cameron in a Honda NSX GT3 2019. And the final car that didn't finish the race was the number 999. They actually did not even start the race. The number 999 Mercedes AMG Team Group M Racing of Maxi Buick, Mauro Engel, and Rafael Marciello in a Mercedes AMG GT3. They did not finish the race.
All right, so yeah, there you have it. That wrapped up the 2019.
Wait, the 12 car added 10 seconds to race time. The number 12 car. They added 10 seconds, so he had a 10-second time penalty added to his race time. That's the only penalty we had in that race.
So yeah, there you have it. That's the end of the 2019 Intercontinental GT Challenge. So with that said, congratulations to Dennis Olsen on winning the Drivers' Championship over Max Goetz and Max Buick, Rafael Marciello, and Frederick Versvich. That's your top 5 for the final standings. And you look a little further down, you have Matthew Jaminet, Matt Campbell, Dirk Werner, Lucas Stoles, Yelmer Berman, Christopher Haas, and Mauro Engel. So yeah, that's the end of our talk for endurance racing. Now let's move on to Formula E.
Yep.
For the first race weekend of the year in the Adria Street Circuit, the Adria E-Prix in Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
For rounds 1 and 2 of 14. So let's talk about round 1 and we'll talk about round 2 later. So here's race 1, won by Sam Bird, who I'm trying to look it up on Wikipedia.
Sam Bird actually led 8 laps to the win. He started fifth. Andre Lauder second. Stoffel Van Dorn third. Oliver Rowland fourth. Robin Fringe the top 5. Then we had Nick DeVries 6th. Eduardo Mortera 7th. Alexander Sims 8th. Jerome D'Ambrosio 9th. And Mitch Evans rounded out the top 10. And the drivers that did not finish the race, we had Nico Mueller did not start the race. Sebastian Buemi with electronics issue on lap 3. Jean-Eric Verne had steering arm on lap 21. And Daniel Abt crashed on lap 29 of the race, which he was the reason of the only caution in that one race. Fastest lap, Mitch Evans with 73.947 seconds. So
I just want to mention so how you get points. So you win a race, you get 25 points. Finish second, you score 18. Third, you get 15 points. Fourth, 12 points. 10 points for fifth. 8 points for sixth. 6 points for seventh. 4 points for eighth. 2 points for ninth, and 1 point for 10th, and the rest don't get points at all. And I just want to mention that to get extra points in the race, you can be fastest in a group stage, which is for qualifying. And the group stage was actually won by Sam Bird for race 1. So he gets an extra point for that.
But if you start on the pole, if you start on the pole,
Alex Sims,
the shootout thing, you get an additional.
You get 3 points.
And the fastest lap of the race, you get 1. So in total, you could get 30 points.
And Mitch Evans got the fastest lap.
So
and he got 2 points. He finished 10th.
And he got the extra point for the fastest lap.
Yeah. So you get 1 point for winning group stage, 1 point for getting a fastest lap, and 3 points for the pole position, along with the traditional points you get tacked along in the race. So there you have it. And of course, here's the top 10. Like I mentioned, Sam Bird, who started 5th, Andre Lauderer, Stoffel Van Dorn, Oliver Rollin, Robin Fringe, Nick DeVries, Eduardo Mortara, Alexander Sims, Jerome D'Ambrosio, and Mitch Evans. And then you look further down the guys that didn't get points: Pascal Verline, Felipe Massa, Lucas Di Grassi, 2 Brazilian drivers, Antonio Felix da Costa, Oliver Turvey, James Collado, Neil Yanni, Max Gunter, Brendan Hartley, Ma Kingha, Daniel Abt, Jean-Eric Verde, and the 2 Swiss drivers, Sebastian Buemi and Nico Mueller, who did not take the green flag. So that's the end of race 1. Now let's move on to race 2. And for round 2 of 14, which was won by Alexander Sims. He started from the pole.
Led every lap.
Led every lap and secured the victory.
Over Lucas Di Grassi got 2nd, Stoffel Van Dorn 3rd, Eduardo Montero 4th, and Oliver Rollin the top 5. In the top 10, the rest of the top 10, we had Daniel Abt 6th, James Collado 7th, Jean-Eric Verne 8th, Brendan Hartley 9th, and Antonio Felix da Costa got a top 10, and Max Gunter.
So he's the first guy without points.
He got 11 because he would have finished 2nd, but he got
a time penalty.
He passed under a safety car, which you're not supposed to do that, so don't do that if you're starting an F1 or FIE series. Don't pass under the safety car.
Or any series in general.
Yeah, he finished 11th, and then the guys that didn't get points, we had Max Gunter 11th, Sebastian Buemi 12th, Neil Johnny 13th, Andre Lauderer 14th, Pascal Verline 15th, Nick DeVries 16th, Felipe Massa 17th, Mitch Evans 19th, and Mark Quingha 20th. And the drivers that retired, Nico Mueller had a puncture on lap 28, Robin Fringe crashed on lap 18, Sam Bird on lap 13 crashed. Jerome D'Ambrosio did not start on lap 0. Literally, his car wouldn't start, and Oliver Turvey got disqualified from the race.
Illegal energy usage was the reason for his exclusion from the results. And he finished 9th physically.
And the
extra points
was Lucas Di Grassi was 72.449, and if you look at the cautions,
he also got the group stage points. So he finished 10th, right? He got the 1 point. Sorry to cut you off there. He finished 10th, so he got the 1 point.
Yeah.
He won the group stage for qualifying, so that's 2 points. And he got the fastest lap, so he got 3 points total. So 1 + 1 + 1 on his result. And then Alex Sims, who won the pole, of course, you get 3 points for pole position. So he got 27 points total, 25 + 3.
Hey, by the way, I was just looking at it quickly. And by the way, there was going to be 2 cautions, and the hilarious thing is there's 3 cautions because the FIA did not do a good job because they were still pulling out Robin Fringe's car out, and it says the caution reason, safety workers still on the track.
That was an error on the FIA part.
Like, I remember we're like, why is the caution out? We just see they're still there trying to take the car out of the truck. I'm like, really? FIA, are you sleeping on this? There's people moving a car.
That was a big whoops on their part. So after the Diriyah Grand Prix, the Drivers' Championship looks like this. After 2 races, Alexander Sims is the points leader. He has 35 points claimed over Stoffel Van Dorn, who has 30 points. Sam Bird is 3rd with 26 points claimed. Oliver Rollin 4th. Lucas Di Grassi, Andre Lauderer, Eduardo Mortara, Robin Fringe, Nick DeVries, and Daniel Abt. Your top 10. And moving down, we have James Collado, 11th.
Jean-Eric Verne, 12th.
Jean-Eric Verne.
Brendan Hartley, Antonio Felix da Costa, Jerome D'Ambrosio, Mitch Evans. Multiple drivers at the end.
Pascal Verline, Max Gunter.
What?
Yeah.
One thing is shocking is Sebastian Buemi did not get a good start to the season. He has no points yet at
Yeah,
all.
I mean, look down low. We have Massa, Bueme, Neil Johnny, Turvey, Ma Kingha, Nico Mueller. These guys are gonna get points. This is a very competitive series. People always try to say, "Oh, it's, like Formula E is, it's just an electro Formula One series." This is
No,
way more than that. There's a
Formula
lot at
One,
stake here.
like Formula E has more competition than Formula One. Just saying, like Formula One, we only see wins, but Mercedes, Ferrari, or Red Bull, here we don't just see the big three teams. We
I mean,
see
look. How about here's a fun fact. Let's look at the constructors teams championship. So I'll show you what I mean. Let's just go through this. So Mercedes Benz EQ Formula E team leads with 38 points, 2 points over Envision Virgin Racing with 36 points in second. BMW I Andretti Motorsport is third with 35 points. And then fourth place is Audi Sport Apt or ABT Schaffer with 26 points. Nissan E Dom is fifth with 22 points. Sixth place is Tag Heuer Porsche Formula E team with 18 points. And then Rocket Venturi Racing is seventh with 18 points as well. Panasonic Jaguar Racing from Britain is eighth with 8 points claimed. Diaz Tequita or Takicha is ninth with 7 points claimed. And Manjira Racing is 10th. This is a team from India with 2 points claimed, as well as 11th place Geox Dragon with 2 points as well. There's only one team that did not score points after 2 races. There's 12 Neo 333 Formula E team.
Oh, the 3 and 33, the team that only won 2 races in 6.
They have no points. But look, you know what's incredible? When someone says there's no competition in Formula E, I'm like, holy crap, there is. You don't know what I'm talking about because only 2 races have been completed, and there's only one team that didn't score points at all.
Yeah, which is the number
12 constructor entries.
And only 11.
And 11 scored points. Within 2 races. Just think about it. That's unbelievable.
It took 11 races for Williams. No, wait.
Exactly.
It took them till Germany to get.
And I bet you, Neo 333 will get the points in maybe the next 2 races. I'm telling you right now.
One thing that we know that next season, I don't think Williams is going to get a point right away. I don't think.
I think they'll get more points than they do this year. But that's a good take. That's a hot take. We'll get into F1 in a little bit. But yeah, so there you have it for Formula E. Their next race will be on January 18th in Chile, Santiago E-Prix for round 3 of 14.
Yeah, it's only one race. The only other race with 2 races in a weekend is London, the final race of the season, which is all the way in July, which most of the season of Formula E is not, the races are not close together. Some weeks the races are a couple weeks.
Yeah, they're split apart.
This one is like a month until race 3. So we'll have to.
And what I noticed about Formula E as well as supercars, they have off weeks during significant race weekends, like the weekend of the 24 hours of Le Mans,
Daytona.
I give them credit.
Yeah, like literally, the only thing is I just realized Formula E's race 2 is a week before the Rolex 24 at Daytona.
Right, because they know that a lot of their drivers will be in Daytona. So yeah, there you have it. And just looking forward on the schedule, round 4 will be Mexico City on February 15th. Marrakesh Grand Prix in Morocco will be February 29th. Sanya E-Prix in China at the Haitang Bay Circuit. Rome E-Prix. And then you have the Paris round 8. Paris Street Circuit. I think that's where the Tour de France ends, the Champs-Élysées. You got to double check on that.
I just realized because of Formula E, you said all races. No, they're racing at the same time as the Extreme race at Daytona. Oh my!
Interesting.
Ooh, a lot of fans will be pissed.
Let's move on. Seoul E-Prix in South Korea on May 3rd, and then you have the Jakarta E-Prix in Indonesia Then you go back to Europe for the Berlin E Prix in Germany on June 21st. The New York City E Prix in Brooklyn Street Circuit on July 11th.
And the
And
final
then
two races in
rounds
London,
13 to 14.
July 25th and 26th in London, the final race of the season.
Should be fun. I'm very excited. And of course, Formula E does have a support season, a sports series taking place. I know they have an autonomous car series just for showcase events, but the actual support series is the Jaguar I-Pace E-Trophy, which took place. And there's actually two classes. And the Jaguar I-Pace, by the way, is an electric race-prepared SUV by Jaguar.
Yep.
It's battery-powered vehicle. And their calendar is 10 races long. So rounds 1 and 2 are at Diriyah. Round 3, Mexico. Round 4, Sanya. Round 5, Rome. Round 6, Paris. Round 7, Berlin. Round 8, New York City. And rounds 9 and 10 are in London. And they have a few races missing, like Monaco. New York will be a one-race deal. Hong Kong, due to political unrest, had their race weekend from Formula E removed, thus making the Jaguar race move. So that's why they went to Sanya, by the way. And Monaco was taken off the calendar completely. To be honest, I feel like the Monaco E Prix should have ran the same circuit as F1. I don't know why they ran a different, shorter version of the Monaco Grand Prix circuit, which was a kind of controversial deal. If you saw the very first race that took place there, you'll understand what I'm talking about.
Well, they could have ran Monaco backwards.
Or they could have just run the normal circuit. I don't know why they needed a sharp corner, but I mean, it's interesting. Who knows?
F1 should do backwards race at Monaco one day.
Oh my! I'll go up there, a backwards race in Macau. Who knows? I could dream.
Oh, that's not gonna be going well.
Could probably get blindsided into a wall.
Yep.
All right, so the drivers' championship looks like this after one race. So there's two classes, by the way. There's Pro and Pro-Am. So the Pro class standings after the first two races actually tied between Simon Evans and Sergio Jimenez, and Alice Powell is third with Mario Haberfield in fourth. And the Pro-Am class, we have Yaki Zhang, Song Chao, Mashur Bao, Hijalia, and Fahad Al-Ghosaibi. So 4 drivers each, and there's guest drivers that were not eligible for points. Abby Eden and Rima Jufali. So yeah, there you have it. And their next race will be round 3 of 10 in Mexico City in February. So yeah, there you have it. For Formula E race weekend. And I know we don't have much time, but we're already in the upcoming races. Let's talk about Formula One. So F1, we have the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix from the Yas Marina circuit in United Arab Emirates, which is the 21st and final race of the 2019 Formula One World Championship.
Yep.
Lewis Hamilton won the race last year. And the first race at this track was in 2009. The driver who won it, Sebastian Vettel.
Yep.
And this is actually one of the few tracks that has a day to night transition in Formula One. The race starts in the afternoon and ends at night.
Yep. I'm glad for them they run at night more, because here, if they would run the day, we would here in America,
the race would start at 3 or 4 in the morning.
And that's basically when the Formula 2 race, which we'll get into that later too.
So yeah, here's some fun facts about the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So, like I said, the first race was won by Sebastian Vettel, and last year it was Hamilton won the race, and the most wins at the Marina circuit is indeed Lewis Hamilton with 4 victories over Sebastian Vettel, who has 3 wins. Valerie Bottas, Nico Rosberg, and Kimi Räikkönen have 1 win apiece.
Wait, what? Huh?
And most constructor wins.
Wait, what? I'm confused. When did Bottas win there?
2017.
Oh, okay.
And most constructor wins. Mercedes with 5, Red Bull Racing with 3, and Lotus and McLaren have a tie for 1 apiece.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't think Renault. I don't think Lotus is coming back.
Well, they're not even in F1, so anymore.
Well,
that win they had was with Kimi Räikkönen back in 2012.
Hey, by the way, I was looking at and also Renault has 4 wins for engine, but I don't think Renault is gonna win the race. I don't think.
No, but I mean, when we get into the next week podcast, we'll be a lot into F1 going into this, but so Abu Dhabi, the championship's locked up, the constructors' title's all locked up.
Yep.
And if you look in the drivers' championship, there are still a few positions up for grabs, and some of those positions include drivers such as Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen. Their battle for third is still mathematically alive. Sebastian Vettel could reach Leclerc if he has a bad day and doesn't score points.
We'll see. And also,
remember, you get 25 points for a win. Let me just break this down for you before we go back to that. 25 points for a win. Second place, you get 18 points. 15 points for third. 12 points for fourth. 10 points for fifth. 8 points for sixth. 6th place for seventh. 6 points for seventh. 4 points for eighth. 2 points for ninth. 1 point for 10th. And then if any one of those drivers gets the fastest lap, they get another point
for example, if you win the race and you get the fast lap, you get 26 points.
Yeah, but you got to finish in the points paying position for the you know what I mean? That's all. It's fair and simple. Yeah. And so if you think about it, Vettel does have a chance to get by Leclerc. If Leclerc retires or something happens like that,
But there's not just a battle for that. 6 is. Do you see the battle for 6? Gasly and Sainz are tied. But guess who's 11 points behind them is Albon is 11 points out. So Albon could take 6. But
but he's gonna have to be lucky though.
But Sainz and Gasly, they're going for 6. They're tied right now.
True. But Albon, mind you, he has the better car. But no, I think Albon's got a good shot. Let's see, who else do we have?
We also have after them
Ricciardo, Perez, and Norris, and Raikkonen.
Perez, Norris, Raikkonen, and Ricciardo. That is close. Especially Perez, Norris, and Raikkonen. Raikkonen is 3 points behind Perez, and Norris is only 1 point behind Perez. The battle for 10th is close.
Yeah.
It's 3 points. 3 points.
And it'll be decided Sunday at Abu Dhabi. But let's see. Let's go down a little bit more.
Hulkenberg and Kvyat at 13th. Hulkenberg has 37
Renault versus Toro Rosso.
There's not Magnussen is 6 points ahead. Nope.
Stroll is 1 point ahead of Magnussen.
That is close.
I don't know if Giovinazzi can reach them unless, he has a really good run and both of them, if something bad happens to Stroll or Magnussen, they just can't get points.
Now I'm hoping that something happens and Russell gets the top 10. The tie
Giovinazzi could snatch those positions away. And then you look further back, of course, I don't think Grosjean could catch Giovinazzi. I mean, looking at Grosjean's last few races, he has not seen a points finish since Germany in July.
Grosjean's going to win.
But in all honesty, he's got to have a Hail Mary at this point.
Well, Russell, I don't know if he's going to get a point.
Okay, let's be fair. Grosjean has only 3 points paying positions this whole
Well, that's
finishes this whole season.
Well, at least he has.
Kubica, of course. I don't mean unless he magically gets points while Gershon doesn't.
I don't think he's
It's
gonna.
it's not. It's same with Russell. They wouldn't have a good shot at it either. Just thinking about their speed.
I hope there's rain at Abu Dhabi now.
I mean, hey, even then, like rain doesn't give you the magic wand to pass, guys.
Well, we'll make sure
like you're, in a good car. It's interesting. I think there's a lot to say, a lot to do.
Wait,
This race weekend will be one for the books.
there should be a lot of rain, like at Germany.
We're in the Middle East, okay, and we're in December. I don't think that's a high chance of rain.
Let me go check the weather. Damn it! It's supposed to be sunny. God,
it's all dry and sunny over there.
Oh, come on. They should have had a racetrack somewhere.
What do you want? Fake rain? Just have some helicopter shooting rain down in the sky. Let's get into the Constructors' Championship.
I should just blow fake.
Now, let's see who still has a shot to pass.
Where is
somebody in the Constructors' Championship? Obviously, Mercedes clinched it. They're long gone.
Renault and Toro Rosso.
Ferrari 479. So yeah, they're pretty much locked up for second.
But look at Renault and Toro Rosso. They're only separated by 8.
Yeah, I see that.
But then Racing Point is 10 ahead of Alfa Romeo. But I don't think Williams is gonna.
In fact, Williams clinched last in the Constructors.
I don't think Williams is going to gain.
Haas can't reach Alfa Romeo at this point. But I think it's going to come down to Alfa Romeo versus Racing Point. I don't think Racing Point can reach Toro Rosso, but Toro Rosso could reach Renault. So basically, there's still active possibilities for positions to change from 5th through 8th.
Now I'm hoping for Stroll and Perez to finish 19th and 20th while Kvyat and Gasly get points. Now I'm hoping for that. We'll see how if they don't get points. But we know Williams can't even catch Haas.
They actually clinched last.
That's
even if they both got like first and second, they couldn't pass.
Well,
I mean, actually they could. But just
that's
assumingly knowing they probably would.
Hey, at least they didn't get a last place award like JJ Yaley did in the Xfinity Series last weekend. Well, we'll see if they'll do anything. I don't know. Maybe they'll be better in 2020 and do good and somehow get a podium like Lance Stroll got a podium at Azerbaijan, which that is so weird. I don't think they'll get a podium, but you never know because F1 is sometimes weird with racing.
You never know what you get in the world of motor racing. It's an interesting business, and I think so. Yeah, there you have it with Formula 1. Let's talk about Formula 2 while we're at it, because the FIA Formula 2 World Championship will wrap up their 12-week tour at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So this is week 12 of 12 at the Alice Marina circuit. And as already known, Nick DeVries already clinched the championship over
Nicholas
Latifi
and then Kyoto, Sete Camara, and Aitken the top 5.
And you just look down more Aitken and Matsushita, Zhu, Jordan King, Hubert, Delarts, Ilott, Mick Schumacher, Carrera.
But by the way, probably most likely Hubert's going to get passed in points because
unfortunately, which is kind of sad, after his tragic death at Spa.
She also won Monaco.
And even though Carrera is still around getting, in treatment, he is done for the rest of the season as well, so he might get passed too. Yeah. But Schumacher, looking at Schumacher, he could reach he's at 51 points. He could reach 11th in the championship. Now, if you look at Del Trotz, he could catch up to 8th, because you look at 76 points and then above 77 points, 79, it's reachable. Wait, it just needs a good race.
Let me check something. I'm just checking something.
Giuliano Alessi. He's the son of John Alessi.
Hey, do you know what's interesting?
Yeah.
You know, ART is the team that Nick DeVries drives for.
Mm-hmm.
They're not even leading the team standings. It is Dams, the DAMS team.
Yeah.
That
Or
are
Dom.
Yeah, they're leading over Virtus OC. ART is third, Carlin fourth, and Campos Racing is fifth. Then they have Campos Racing fifth, MP Motorsport sixth, Sauber Junior Team by Charus, BWT Arden eighth, Prema Racing ninth, and last place
Trident.
Trident. But Trident at least has 13 points, so not bad. Like
Did
Williams.
Dams clinch the team's championship?
They have a good points. I think
359 over 306. So
that is 53 points.
still close. And I know the battle for third, Art Grand Prix and Carlin,
Oh, it's
76 points. I don't know if they can reach. But you look at Campos Racing, yeah, they're pretty much out
But
of
MP
reach.
Motorsports and Sauber Junior are only separated by 4 points. That's a
Yeah.
battle.
How about BWT Arden? I mean,
But
they could catch. I mean, they could. They just need a Hail Mary. And
Prema's
same
11.
with Prema Racing. But Trident, I think, is out of reach.
Trident's just gonna stay last. Just no.
No, and I'm just looking back at the drivers' championship. There's a lot of positions still for grabs.
We know.
I mean, if you look 194 over 184, so Giotto can possibly catch Latifi if he has a bad race, or Kamara. I don't know if Kamara could catch Giotto, but he is in reach by Jack Aitken and Matsushita. And Zhu have a good battle there. But then you look further back, of course, Jordan King could obtain 8th, but Del Trotz is only 3 points behind him. So, yeah, take it as you will. There's 2 more races left, of course. You know, you have the feature and the sprint race. So this will be week 12 at Abu Dhabi, the Yas Marina circuit.
I'm glad that Formula 2 updated their website with their drivers for the BWT Arden team, which their current driver now is Artem Marklov. He's driving the 22, but he basically took over
Anton Hubert.
Yeah, Anton Hubert at age 23. Which I think
the other driver is Tatiana Calderon.
Yeah, she's a rookie.
Yeah, struggling. I don't think she scored a point this year.
She doesn't have many points, but
no, and neither does Raghu Dathan.
Yeah,
the Dutch driver.
When Hubert drove, Hubert
had a lot of reason to being in that points the championship. So
he also won Monaco, race 1 at Monaco. He won Monaco, which the first race he won the feature race at Monaco this year, which was really good for his team.
So yeah, there you have it with the Formula 1 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix race weekend. There is a lot to talk about. We have more things to cover, so let's get into our week headlines as we just finished covering the racing going on before. I know this is a short podcast, and it's going to be like this for the next few weeks.
We're trying to get not get hosts. We're trying to get guests.
Yeah, we definitely want to bring some guests in for.
I almost said we need a host, but we don't need a host.
I'm right here.
Yeah.
So let's see. Let's talk about. So let's go back into open racing in the U.S. with IndyCar. Rinus VeeKay has been signed by Ed Carpenter to drive for the 2020 IndyCar Championship.
Number 21 car, yep.
Which, of course, you saw him in the Indy Lights series.
No.
And VeeKay is a Dutch driver from the Netherlands. And I think in my opinion, like, Rinus VeeKay is ready. He's 19 years old. He's going to drive for Ed Carpenter Racing.
Yep. Yep, he's going to be driving the number 21 for the full season. He's going to join Oliver Askew and Ben Hanley as Rookie of the Year drivers.
So yeah, just looking at 2020 IndyCar Series, still a lot of seats open, and the newest seat, probably the hottest open seat now, is the one that was left by Sebastian Bourdais, the four-time series champion.
Yeah, the number
because he is going back to endurance racing.
Yeah, the number 18 and the 19 also. Both Dale Coyne cars.
Isn't Ferrucci slated to come back?
We don't know yet. Ferrucci's not confirmed. We also
But
have
I think it's certain. I feel like it's a it's a common interest by the team.
Another team, AJ Foyt. No drivers confirmed yet.
Tony Kanaan, I believe if he races anyway, it will probably just be for the Indy 500. I mean, he's way past his prime. Let's be real.
Aero McLaren has one car left, which is only the Indy 500 with someone.
Well, we do know their drivers for the season will be Pato O'Ward and Oliver Askew.
We also
the third driver will be, question mark for the Indy 500.
Carlin has two cars available. Whoever wants to drive those slow.
Like I said, the offseason for IndyCar is a very lengthy one that doesn't end until March.
Yeah, March 15th is the first race at the
Singapore Grand Prix. St. Petersburg.
I was going to say Singapore.
I don't know where my mind's going today. Okay.
Carlin has two cars available. Dale Coyne, two cars. The 20 has, for the road courses, someone could drive that car.
It looks like Ed Carpenter is probably going to run in the Indy 500 with some ovals.
He runs the ovals. The road courses.
Ben Hanley, I think he's going to run some number of races. I think Indy 500 for Dragon Speed. Because, Dragon Speed, they're more focused on in their sports car program.
Yep, because, they are really.
And speaking of Dragon Speed, they're also been on the headlines this week for running LMP2 cars in North America for the full IMSA Tour in 2020. As you remember, they won the Rolex 24. Moving back on to the IndyCar series, I think there's a lot more open seats. Jack Harvey from Irish Shank Racing will run the full season in the Honda number 60. Rahal, Letterman Lanigan Racing with Graham Rahal, Takuma Sato. Penske
has No Garden in the 1, Power in the 12, and Piaschno in the 22.
The star lineup. And Chip Ganassi Racing has, we got two Swedes now. Marcus Ericsson joins his fellow countryman, Felix Rosenqvist, and Scott Dixon.
Yep.
The five-time championship.
The Andretti has 3 cars owner, just Andretti is Beach, Rossi, and Hunter-Reay. Then Andretti Harding Steinbrenner Autosports is the number 88 of Colton Herta, and the Andretti Herta
Autosports. I just want to let you know.
Andretti and Kurt Agajanian, the number.
So I just want to let you know, Harding Steinbrenner has been acquired by Michael Andretti, so now Colton Herta has officially joined the team. So we got a 5-car squad.
It's so weird how there's 5 cars, but there's 3 owners.
But there's a few co-owners too.
But like Harding, which is basically Michael Harding and George
and then Marco is the co-owner of the 98 car with Curb,
Agajanian, Marco, and then Mike Curb. Like, oh my gosh, there's so many owners.
Right. That's going to be a packed lineup. And they're going to be the ones you'll fear in the Indy 500. But these guys could also, I bet you, I wouldn't be surprised if one of those cars misses the Indy 500. Who knows? It's a very interesting lineup that we got here. Of course, imagine that would be a major PR blow.
It won't be bad if Marco Andretti and Ryan Hunter-Reay would miss it. Oh my, that would be interesting.
All right, as for Dale Coyne Racing, of course, the 2 entries are open. Listen, I think if anything, we're going to see James Hinchcliffe drive for Dale Coyne Racing.
Yeah,
it's only fitting. I said this when he announced the departure from Erskine Peterson McLaren.
Yeah.
It only makes sense. He's
Yeah.
still with Honda. Hello.
Yeah,
And
he's still with the Honda group.
so yeah, that's what we have for IndyCar. Now let's move on to some other stuff that's happening in motorsports. The back to IMSA for a second. The Grasser Racing Lamborghini GT3 team has entered for the full season in the GTD class, competing using the two drivers, Catherine Legg and Christine Nielsen. So there'll definitely be some threats to win. And Legg, of
Yeah.
course, has left the Meyershank program.
We also, so far, the teams confirmed. We have the JDC Miller Mustang, not Mustang, the
Mustang sampling sponsor.
yeah, we have the 5 of Joao Barbosa, Barbosa,
Barbosa with
Sebastian
Loic
Bourdais,
Duval and
and
Bourdais.
the 85 is unknown. Acura Team Penske will have the number 6 of Cameron Montoya Pagano, the 7 of
There's so many
Cameron
entries, dude. I don't even like it. Look, all you got to do is look at the other series. They're gonna just come bring their cars to North America, dude.
Well, we only have 3 LMP2s confirmed. Dragon Speed,
There's more
Yarrow
to come.
Motorsport, and Rick Ware.
Rick Ware is gonna run Daytona. Let's move. Let me just see some other. What do we have here? Oh yeah, let's get into NASCAR. Let's talk about some NASCAR. We'll start with the quicker subject, and then we'll talk about the more important stuff that we can't act like didn't happen. So first off, the 2020 NASCAR Drive for Diversity class has been announced. The drivers include Chase Cabre, Raja Caruth, Perry Patino, Isabella Robusto, Nicholas Sanchez, and Grace Trotter.
Wow.
So congratulations to them.
Yep.
And we'll be seeing them a lot in the lower ranks for racing, and they'll be going up the ranks before you know it. And now let's get into this. This is, I'm sure, why many of you guys are here. 7-time champion and 2-time Daytona 500 winner, NASCAR superstar Jimmie Johnson has announced retirement from Cup Series racing at the end of the 2020 NASCAR season.
Mm-hmm.
Did we see this coming? Was it bound to happen, or maybe Johnson just decided to pull the trigger because he felt like it?
I feel like it was kind of coming because, like, Jimmie Johnson contract before his contract would have ended after 2020, but Jimmie Johnson, he's not much in his prime anymore. After the race after crashing at Pocono 2017, I knew something was not going to go right. Because, like, Jimmie Johnson's performance on track, like, in 2018, he had 2 top 5s and 11 top 10s, which 2 top 5s for Jimmie Johnson is really rare.
Yeah, very.
Like, if you see 2 top 5s, like, you're like, is this Jimmie Johnson or not? Like,
but like what I said, after this 2016 championship, I think it just started to,
Yeah, 2017. He won 3 races, but after Pocono was the first race.
I feel like that really kind of shook him up a little, which was unfortunate.
Yeah, and then he had bad race Kentucky. He made it to the round of 8, but then 2018 that was not the best season. 2 top 5s and 11 top 10s in the whole season. You don't expect that out of Jimmie Johnson. 2019 was not the good either. He did not make the playoffs. And Jimmie Johnson did not do good in his season. Like, Jimmie Johnson did not have a good season the last couple 2017 was decent, but 2018, 2019, not the best season. So we'll see how 2020 goes for Jimmie Johnson, this farewell season, basically.
And he's got something to prove going out there, but he's going to give it. It's all or nothing. I feel like Johnson's got nothing to lose. He already told everyone he's leaving, so he's going to give it all. Maybe it gives him extra energy, knowing that this is his last chance. So he's got nothing less to prove. Just do what you got to do, and finish on the highest note you can. So for some drivers, you get added, when they announce retirement, it gives them added enthusiasm, like we saw in Jeff Gordon. But let's move on. let's see. We got Citroen in the World Rally Championship. The WRC has lost one of their key manufacturers, and Citroen has left the program in 2020. So it'll kind of suck because the World Rally Championship is always an important piece of racing, and Citroen won't be a part of it anymore. And let's see, NASCAR Xfinity Series, Myatt Snyder will be added to the Richard Childress Racing part-time Xfinity program for 2020.
He'll draw the number 21 for.
We'll be seeing him. And speaking of NASCAR and lower series Chevy teams, Zane Smith has been added to GMS Racing, which is Martin Gallagher's team, to run for the 2020 Truck Series campaign.
And he'll have a crew chief, Kevin Mannion, will be his
very good crew chief.
Yep, he was the crew chief last year for Tyler Ankrum. And Crafton has been announced. Crafton is returning to the Thor Sport organization, so Matt Crafton will return to the number 88.
Can he tie Ron Hornaday for most championships of all time?
We could see.
This could be it.
Like Matt Crafton, he could be really strong in 2020 and get the momentum. And I hope he doesn't fall off the map like Johnny Sauter did.
No, don't get me wrong. Johnny Sauter didn't really fall off the map.
No. After he got suspended, he did not do the best. He had one win. The only win for Ford was with him, and
believe it or not, it's kind of crazy how well they did, and they only won once with that whole season.
Yeah,
all those drivers, all that success. But it's funny how racing works sometimes.
And also confirmed for the little teams, Tim Vines will drive at Daytona for Mike Afrano Motorsports in the number 03. Yeah, he's confirming the 03 for one race at least, but that's a really small team.
But hey, you got nothing to lose. When you come to Daytona, it's all or nothing.
Yeah.
That's that one thing I like about Daytona. You get that mentality. You just go out and do what you got to do, and whatever happens, happens. So give it all.
And trying to make the race too, because there's always more entries.
I have a prediction saying there's going to be over 40 trucks entering, even 45.
Yeah.
It's a race all teams mark on the calendar since, over a year before the race starts. Yeah. After that Daytona race, you already got that date marked on the calendar for 2020. Excuse me. Let's see who else we got there.
The only other thing is Ray Black Jr. is confirmed back to SS Greenlight Racing.
CJ McLaughlin
will run 20 races on the 93, which that's really good for him.
CJ, RSS Racing. I hope he will run the full distance and not just settle for the starting park.
Well, Jesse Little, he's confirmed the JD Motorsports.
Oh, don't forget, I want to point to that out. The NASCAR Xfinity Series will have a 35-car grid next year, no longer 38. So 3 spots are gone.
Joseph, I thought it was 36.
Oh, is it 36?
Yep, 36.
So never mind. It's 36.
Yeah.
So they lost 2 cars from the grid.
Yeah.
So adding the chance for teams to DNQ.
Oh, let's. I want to see Mike Harmon DNQ in every race. No, that's mean. Sorry, Armani, that you like Mike Harmon.
But yeah, there you have it. So it's just other things out there. I'm just looking here. GMS Racing has exited the NASCAR Xfinity Series, closing their Xfinity team and focus on the trucks and ARCA series.
Yep.
And I feel like they made the right decision. I mean, they could always come back to Xfinity.
Yeah, they can.
So I don't see this as a negative thing at all. Most teams, when they shut down, I feel bad and say, oh, man, that sucks. But on the side of GMS Racing, I know they have a bright future ahead. They're what Chevrolet needs in the truck series.
Also, I was going to say about Vanarani, they're going to run some ARCA East series, which is now used to be K&N East, but ARCA is East. Maybe Sam Mayer will run some ARCA East series races, I bet you, because...
I mean, he should go out and defend his championship. Unless he runs the ARCA Nationals series, which would be, the main division.
I know, but right now Chandler Smith's 17. You have to be 18 in ARCA now. So Chandler Smith... I think Chandler Smith will run like ARCA East races for Vanarani would be a nice thing.
I think he'll still run the ARCA Grand National though. It would be interesting.
Yeah, you'll see him run races, and Nick Sanchez and Rev Racing. They're going to be running part time in ARCA, the main ARCA series, with Chase Cabry and Nick Sanchez. Will be driving in.
And both of those drivers actually do come from the class of 2020 Drive for Diversity program. And Rev Racing actually does help a lot on that side too. So I think there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to look forward to when it comes to 2020. Like I said, the off season really just began for NASCAR, and things are falling into place. Let me see, what else do we have here? Yeah, Nissan has wrapped up their farewell supercar season. So it's going to be sad not seeing that third-party manufacturer have any role in supercars anymore. If you go back to 2014 and 2015, you know how many manufacturers there were?
Oops.
I
wanted to back
do you know how many?
something.
Do you know how many manufacturers there were in supercars back in 2014?
4?
Nope. 5. Yeah.
Oh my.
You have the two, main rivals, Holden and Ford, and then you got the third party manufacturer. I don't call them third party like, they're less than Holden and Ford, but usually it's Holden and Ford going at it. But the third party manufacturers, we saw Nissan come in 2013. And then 2014, we had Volvo and Mercedes come in to the supercars. Yeah, the Mercedes-Benz E-Class.
Did they actually do good? Probably.
It was for Eurobus Racing. Oh. And they were okay, but Volvo was successful.
Don't bring Toyota.
I would love to tell you that. And then, of course, so you had Holden, Ford, Nissan, Volvo, Mercedes, and despite not having factory support in 2015, Mercedes still ran with Eurobus, and they came out of the series after 2015. And then after 2016, Volvo left, which leads me into my next topic. Gary Rogers Motorsport, who actually ran the Volvo team. Of course, after 2016, they went back to Holden. And they have left supercars racing, which really kind of sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also, breaking news, Richie Stanaway has announced retirement from the supercars competition.
Wait. I have to go search him.
So yeah, it's a bittersweet farewell.
Wait, Richie Stanaway? Huh?
Yeah. He announced it this morning.
He turned 28 yesterday. He turned 28. Wow. 28 years old. Well, I don't think that's that young compared to, let me go check. I'm totally searching up one of the best drivers ever. Where's Racing Reference? But I can't find Racing Reference. Oh my goodness. I'm totally not, I'm totally searching the best legend ever in NASCAR, which he didn't have much of success. He's from Idaho. That already gives you a hint. He was 28 when he retired.
Brian Scott.
Yep, that was Brian Scott.
The moment you said he's from Idaho and 28 years old, I knew right from there.
Yeah, so basically Richie Stanaway's retiring at the same age as him. Brian Scott retired at 28. He's retiring at 28, which it's his decision.
Yeah, and you gotta respect him for it. He gave it all in racing. But Gary Rogers Motorsports is a team I'm certainly gonna miss because if you think about it, they're the ones who brought Volvo back into racing. Their tenure from 2014 to 2016, the S60, was superb. And that was the stepping stone of Scott McLaughlin. because McLaughlin drove for Gary Rogers Motorsport from 2013 to 2016. And of course, 2013 he drove in a Holden.
Wait, when did Penske already racing then in Supercars?
Yeah.
Wait,
Remember they had Marcus Ambrose drive
Oh yeah,
the car
2015.
before.
I forgot Marcus Ambrose drove for them. I just remembered because I played Forza 6 and Marcus Ambrose was in the 17.
Didn't he have Xbox as a sponsor?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I
that.
figured.
Yeah, I was playing. I've already raced.
I like that paint scheme. But
Yeah.
let's go back to Scott McLaughlin, though.
Yeah.
Because Gary Rogers needs a lot of credit for the success that Scott McLaughlin has. In 2013, he scored his first career win at Pukekohe, round 6, and a Holden for Gary Rogers, and then won the second race at Surfers Paradise. At Queensland. Different track. Finished 10th in points. And then you look at 2014 when Gary Rogers switched to Volvo. We all know what happened at Adelaide for that second race when he had that tremendous battle with Jamie Whincup and finished second. And then he won in round 14 at the Perth Super Night.
Okay.
And then won again at Sydney. He won at Phillip Island. And Phillip Island again, finishing 5th in points. And then 2015 was a bit of a struggle for McLaughlin. He didn't win at all. And his highest finish was second both races at Phillip Island.
Wow.
As well as Queensland, and finished 8th in points, which has been the second lowest full-time championship position in Scott McLaughlin's career. The other one was 2013 at 10th. And then in 2016, things really picked up. He swept the weekend at Phillip Island, finished outside the top 10 only twice before sweeping second place finishes at Perth and at Winton. He would finish in the top 10 8 out of the next 15 races. Actually, 11 out of the next 15 races, he'd finish in the top 10 all the way to the end of the year. And he finished 3rd in points. And that was the end of McLaughlin at Gary Rogers Motorsport. And that was also the end of Volvo in Supercars for their little tenure. Because in 2017, he moved to, it happened, finished second, DJR Team Penske in his debut, and then won the next 2 championships. GRM deserves so much credit. It's sad to see them go. And I wish Gary Rogers the ultimate best going forward and moving on.
Yep.
And I hope someday they can find the finances to bring back a car in Supercars competition. It would be nice,
Yeah.
So I think we've have everything covered.
Yep.
I guess it's good to call it a night.
Wait.
Yeah.
That was a really good podcast compared to last couple weeks. Because those were long podcasts.
Right.
This is basically half the podcast. This podcast is half of the 3 hour 10-minute podcast.
Yeah, in terms of time length.
Oh, that podcast was like, that was when we were covering Macau and all those races.
And Homestead and all that.
Those races.
But yeah, take it as you will. It's going to be a much shorter period of time.
Yep.
So with that, that wraps up episode 34 of the Below the Yellow Line podcast. We'll be back next week to wrap up the season finale of the Formula One World Championship.
Yep.
So without further ado, we'll see you guys next week. Have a good night.